course, folks have seen 45 purses stolen in the last few months. Today, Channel 2's Andy Barth found residents are looking over their shoulders and looking to police for help.
Charles Grove Street is the kind of comfortable, established area where mature trees and bushes provide shade for residents and cover for a lurking purse snatcher. Someone has been using the shrubbery by day and the darkness of night to steal dozens of purses and make everyone in the neighborhood nervous.
It's terrible. I mean, I feel terrible about it because you just never know. When you get out at night, when I come in, I give my kids my pocketbook.
You don't even carry your pocketbook around?
I'm scared to carry my pocketbook. Even if I come out and get in a cab, you might think he's behind the bushes.
Well, I want to tell you something. It's a pretty frightening experience. What we're trying to do here is walk together during the day, because I understand he's also out here during the day. At nighttime, what we do is look out the windows and sort of look out for each other.
Many residents are looking to the police to end this crime wave, but though they have the description of a tall African-American male about 25 to 30 years old with a rough complexion, they haven't had much luck.
We have had for a number of weeks several officers working very diligently on this. We've set up surveillances. We've been talking with informants, people on the street. Needless to say, this guy isn't going to perform a purse snatch in front of a police officer.
The police offer hints to avoid having a purse snatched, including holding it securely under an arm and, when possible, walking in groups.
I'm worried that I'll be next, because they've gotten so many people on the block that I'm about the only one left.
The police encourage anyone with information to call the Northwestern District. Perhaps the worst part of this is many residents feel certain the thief lives right here in their own neighborhood. In Pimlico, I'm Andy Barth, Channel 2 News.
Be careful. Several witnesses have told police they believe the purse snatcher is a drug addict looking for a quick way to get quick cash.
Well, records fell across the Baltimore area today. Not only is today the hottest July 9th in Baltimore City history, it's also the hottest day.
Maryland's newest prison, the Eastern Correctional Institution at Princess Anne, was supposed to be the prototype for future prisons in Maryland. Channel 2's Lou Davis brings us his final report on Maryland's prison crisis, live now from the Eastern Shore. Lou?
Sally, I'm sure you'll remember that there have been problems here since the prison opened. At the beginning, the cell doors kept popping open every time there was an electrical storm. In the summer heat here on the Eastern Shore, the ventilating system was found to be inadequate. The electrical generating system using wood chips didn't work for a full 2 years, and they found sand in the water supply, etc., etc., etc. And shortly after this prison opened, it was overcrowded. There have been so many problems with the Eastern Correctional Institution that the General Services Administration, the state agency that oversees construction, will no longer be handling prisons. It's taken 3 years and millions of dollars to correct building problems. And even now, all the shower stalls are being redesigned because they don't drain properly. The new warden at the Somerset County Prison says he heard so many stories about problems, he thought Troubled ECI was the prison's full name.
Most of the design and construction problems, deficiencies that plagued the institution since its inception have really been resolved. It's working now because the problems have been resolved. I think if ECI were built right from its inception, that there would not, certainly there would not have been the problems, and it would have been a functional place from the beginning.
Although less than 3 years old, ECI is packed, over 2,400 inmates, 1,000 more than it was built for. That means that here, as in the other prisons, there is double celling, and everything, including time in the yard, is done in shifts. And that means not as much time in the yard for the inmates.
Double celling for us is a lot of frustration builds up because of not really enough space in the cell for 2 people to live. Our schedules clash so much that it's hard to get a lot of, the proper rest and stuff because of the clashing of the schedules. It's just not enough space. It's just not enough.
Aside from the overcrowding, there is another problem. The Eastern Correctional Institution, ECI, is on Maryland's lower eastern shore. It's a long way for visitors to come to see their relatives, and that too creates problems. Most of the prisoners here come from Maryland's metropolitan areas, Baltimore and the Washington suburbs. That means a full day's traveling for relatives to come to visit.
It's very difficult. It's a hell of a strain on your family because most of us come from low-income families and stuff like that. They can't pay the bills. It costs us $20, $25 to come down here. Then they only stay for an hour, hour and a half. It's just too difficult.
This neighborhood in Baltimore is 3 hours away from the Somerset prison. Mrs. Jazina Haskins tries to visit her son every other week, but the trip is expensive when you count tolls and gas and meals. Even the phone calls add up. She can't call her son, and he must call collect. So even a short conversation can cost $5 to $10.
The phone calls are very expensive. My bill be sometime over $100 a month, each month, with him calling home to talk to his family. My husband has a pacemaker. He has a bad heart, and it's very hard on him to drive those 3 hours to see my son, which we tries to go every 2 weeks. Because if he was here in Baltimore, we could, if he was even at Jessup, it would only take us 15 minutes to go from here to Jessup. And we would love to have him here in Baltimore so we could get to see him more often.
Mrs. Haskins is trying to get her son transferred closer, but she's not having much luck. Most of the inmates at ECI are in the same situation, and because of the overcrowding, there's no room in the prisons that are closer to Baltimore. Cameraman Don Harrison and I spent several months looking into the prison situation. Since we started, there have been several more incidents. One guard at the Maryland pen was stabbed. There was a near riot at the Hagerstown institution. We were not allowed into some of the older institutions because prison officials said it was dangerous. We were not allowed into the actual housing units because officials said that was unsafe. But even what we saw caused alarm. The prisons are overcrowded and understaffed. Sally?
Lou, when will there be more construction completed?
Well, there's construction going on almost all over. In Hagerstown, there are 3 new buildings being put up, and there are 3 buildings throughout the other system. 6 in all, about 1,700 new beds. But it's going to be months. It's going to be months and even years before those beds are done, and the long, hot summer is just starting.
And just like ECI, it seems like as soon as those beds are ready, they're going to be filled.
That's right. The prison population keeps building.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your series, Lou Davis, reporting live from the Eastern Shore. There's much more ahead of us now on Channel 2 News at 6. We're going to tell you how one...
This is Channel 2 News.
Tonight, the latest controversy over the Guardian Angels. The self-proclaimed keepers of the peace are now charged with drumming up violence here in Baltimore City. Good evening, everybody. 4 Guardian Angels are behind bars tonight after an incident early this morning in South Baltimore.
The Angels claim that they were making a citizen's arrest of a man allegedly carrying drugs. But police say it was the Angels who were breaking the law. More on this story from Channel 2's Siani Lee.
They beat me up. They handcuffed me, threw me on the ground. One of them stepped on my hand. Somebody stabbed me in my arm.
25-year-old James Lewis claims he was brutally beaten by several Guardian Angels in an alley on South Bruce Street.
Handcuffed me, threw me down and stuff, cut me all up.
According to the police report, one witness told police he saw the Guardian Angels handcuff and beat the victim. But other Guardian Angels who were here at the time deny those charges. But this former Guardian Angel who says he was involved in the incident claims Lewis was injured when he tripped and fell in the alley and feels that police are out to get the Angels.
I was told personally that the Guardian Angels are not wanted here, and the police are going to do anything.
We're not. They don't make it.
Are going to do anything they can to get the Angels out of the neighborhood.
But a spokesperson for Baltimore City Police defends the arrests.
The arresting officers felt as though an assault had taken place based on the severity of the victim's injuries.
Despite the latest controversy, Guardian Angels say they will stay in Baltimore, and the National Office of the Guardian Angels in New York plans to get involved. In South Baltimore, Siani Lee, Channel 2 News.
caused more than just power outages and some broken tree limbs.
Fire officials say lightning during the storm may have sparked a fire at the Lexico furniture store. The fire broke out shortly before 8 p.m. It took an hour before firefighters had that blaze under control. An estimated $1 million in damage at the furniture store. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured.
From bathrooms to buses, the graffiti business is booming. It seems like it's going wall to wall. There is even a network for those involved to seek out the most visible place in town so that all can see their work. The Baltimore City crews can't keep up. And as Jamie Costello reports tonight, the 8-man crew doesn't seem to mind painting the town white.
This is art. And this is...
No, that's not art.
Defacing people's property.
Vandalism.
Baltimore City is loading the gun, lowering the shield, aiming and firing in the never-ending effort to erase graffiti.
It's a pain, I'll tell you. And like I said, we've been wanting to put a new siding on there, but I'm afraid to.
This East Baltimore resident had her wall tarnished for the second time in 2 months. Keeping graffiti off the walls is the city climbing the walls. They have to stay ahead of an underground graffiti newspaper to find out what areas are popular.
We did some jobs. We went back and the guy did them right after we got done finishing the job. He wrote on the place.
He was almost like watching it.
Yeah, like watching where we were going. Every building we did, he would hit.
Everywhere they look, scribbles and drawings. Would you believe that just 6 weeks ago, the anti-graffiti team painted this entire building clean? And within hours after sealing their paint cans and leaving, graffiti was back here on the wall. But in other cases, their paint stays on to cover the crime.
Sometimes, in some cases, we see results that, we'll paint it and it'll stay clean. There's many places around town we've painted and, it still looks good.
From paintbrush to sandblasters, these are the weapons. But the best way to fight is to catch the criminal in the act, which police say is nearly impossible. Jamie Costello, Channel 2 News.
We should tell you that if zones in Baltimore City are succeeding to curb drug activity in certain areas, Mayor Schmoke is extending the law, which states that it is illegal to loiter in a designated drug-free zone for the purpose of engaging in drug-related activity. Because the program has been extremely effective, the mayor is continuing the strict enforcement of the zones throughout the city. Currently, there are 36 active drug-free zones in Baltimore City. Well, a new coalition announced today has some members of Baltimore City Council at odds.
A new faction of the City Council has formed, calling itself the African American Coalition. The group says that it will work to improve the quality of life in the black community. The 7 blacks on the City Council make up this coalition. Some of the white members feel the new group will become too political and divisive.
It's not a caucus in the sense of some other legislative caucuses where we would decide we would become a block of 7. That might be divisive. We see this more as a community entity.
Blacks hold 7 of the 19 seats on council. Councilman Stokes says that he doesn't expect the coalition to vote as a block, saying members will still cast their votes based on what's good for their districts, black or white. Well, they put on red berets and they carry their anti-drug messages into the streets. They call themselves Guardian Angels.
But some residents in southwest Baltimore tonight are calling them trouble. We have a report from Channel 2's Randy Page.
For generations, they've affectionately called their neighborhood Doghouse, a southwest Baltimore community near the corner of Wilkins and Monroe. Today, like any other day, you can find plenty of school-aged children in the street and waiting in doorways. It is a community divided by drugs and by crime. 2 weeks ago, a group of Guardian Angels moved into this row home, right in the middle of Doghouse, and tension has been building ever since. Then last night, it all came to a head when a group of the neighborhood kids got into a confrontation with the Guardian Angels here. In fact, we're told there were more than 100 people involved, so many that the entire street corner was packed. There were no injuries, but today, tempers continue to flare.
I don't see them protecting anything. They look like a bunch of dirtballs to me.
Vicki Brown wants the Angels out of her neighborhood, and she is not alone.
We lived here for all our lives, and then they just moved in 3 weeks ago, and they tried to take over it. No, wrong.
Nancy Green says she knows why the neighborhood kids want the Angels out.
They can't do what they want to do.
Which is?
Which is drugs, sell drugs, rob people.
Guardian Angel Anthony Smith says the Angels' presence alone deters crime by almost 50%. And he says he knows who his enemies are.
I think it's all the young guys who wants to like to be in gangbangers. The guys with their sticks. They like hanging out on the corner, the gangbangers.
Smith says the Angels plan to continue to patrol this neighborhood despite the vocal opposition. In Southwest Baltimore, Randy Page, Channel 2 News.
More people cut down by acts of violence than any other, and that's as far back as records show. Already, police are bracing for a long, hot summer. From January to May of this year, there have been 126 homicides already. By comparison, during the same time a year ago, Baltimore registered the second highest murder rate in the city's history. 3 of those homicides happened just last night. Channel 2 reporter Randy Page has details.
10 o'clock last night, a suspected drug dealer shot and killed by an undercover police officer in East Baltimore. 2 hours later, a woman is murdered in a fire. Police believe the arsonist was trying to kill somebody else. 3 hours later, a 56-year-old cab driver is stabbed to death. 3 homicides, all in the same night. But there are some elements at the one here involving the police officer on North Durham Street that are particularly disturbing. First, police say the drug suspect came out of this door, was walking down these steps when he raised his weapon. He was ordered to throw his gun down. He refused. Secondly, the kind of weapon he was using was a 9mm semi-automatic. Finally, and possibly most disturbing, the first 2 elements of this used to be rare. Now they're becoming routine.
Drugs is driving the people crazy. And
Helen Ely watched the shooting happen just a few feet from her front door. Do you think that the officer was justified in shooting?
I do, because everybody pull a gun on me and I had one, I'm going to shoot back.
Well, if the weather stays like this, we're going to have a violent summer.
Sergeant Tom Garner has walked Baltimore streets as a police officer for 25 years. He's now in charge of the Northeastern District's Drug Enforcement Unit.
They're hot, they're irritable, and the drugs, the territorial problems with the drugs is getting worse.
I'm saddened because he's not coming home anymore.
Brenda Jones is the girlfriend of the suspect police shot and killed last night. She says guns and violence are everywhere.
It could be you, me, anybody next. You never know. You know, one day you love a person and the next they're gone.
And your boyfriend, who yesterday did not throw down his gun, is gone today.
Right. Right. He's gone. And it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop.
The heat, the drugs, the guns, and the statistics add up to a grim prediction offered by one veteran police officer. Before tonight is over, he says, somebody in this city is bound to suffer yet another violent death. In East Baltimore, Randy Page, Channel 2 News.
Now, at the rate we're headed, statistics suggest this could be the bloodiest summer ever in Baltimore.
One of last night's homicide victims was a man who spent 22 years trying to keep kids away from a life of crime. A former city school teacher. Police have identified the man shot and killed this weekend by a police officer as 22-year-old Dwayne Tucker of New York. Now, witnesses say they saw Tucker charge the officer and apparently reach for a gun laying on the floor of a yellow cab. Seconds before the officer shot and killed the 22-year-old. The gun recovered from the cab turned out to be a .32 caliber semi-automatic. And while 2 witnesses claim they saw the officer shoot Tucker as he ran away, the medical examiner's report confirms there was 1 bullet wound in Tucker's chest, shot from the front at close range. Officer Roscoe Lewis has been placed on administrative leave pending completion of this investigation. A Baltimore man has been found shot to death in a motel room. Police say a manager and the front desk clerk at the Comfort Inn on West Franklin Street discovered the body about 10:30 this morning. The 58-year-old victim had been shot once in the head, but officials aren't releasing his name until next of kin have been notified. Authorities say they have a suspect in custody, and he will be charged with first-degree murder, as well as a felony handgun violations. Now, details surrounding their arrest aren't available at this hour, but Channel 2's Kim Skeen will have the complete report tonight on Nightside. Employees of Fox Chevrolet in Woodlawn returned to work today, but you can imagine it wasn't easy.
Yeah, the weekend off really didn't help ease the pain of Friday's shooting at that car dealership. Check. 53-year-old Drew Retta Moore is the state's newest millionaire, $8 million to be exact. Drew Retta shared the moment with her brother and her sister today. Says she's still kind of in shock about her newfound fortune.
I thought I only had 5 digits until I looked at the last digit. And so I had it. So Started screaming, shouting, crying.
I can't imagine her being so calm even 2 days later. She bought the winning ticket at the Stop, Shop, and Save on Pennsylvania Avenue. Says she plans to share the money with her family. And they hope she uses it to make her life easier. Because of medical problems, Drew Retta must often stay in a wheelchair. Wish her the best of luck.
This summer, though, the congregation said enough is enough. It took part of its services outside the church and discovered a new weapon in its war on drugs. Channel 2's Siani Lee has the story.
Armed with songs, signs, and prayers, members of the Israel Baptist Church are fighting drugs in this East Baltimore neighborhood. Twice a week since May, they have gathered in front of the church's community center to take back the streets from drug dealers. They do it through words of inspiration.
All you gotta do is just want and believe.
And they are winning the war on drugs.
Police calls to this neighborhood has been reduced by 30%. We do not have the vandalism. We do not have the noise problem that we used to have. Neighbors are telling us that we are able to sleep at night.
Church members say in the past they've been afraid to come to church because of shootings in broad daylight and heavy drug activity.
Sometimes we would come to church on Sunday, and really when we got out of church at nighttime, we would be afraid to walk to our cars. But since we have been bringing the church on the outside, the drug addicts has moved further down.
Residents say they have also seen results.
The drug dealers come around, asking them old people when they come out of church, do they want drugs and stuff? That's not right. So I think it's good that they march up and down here, because it's working. Because it used to be a lot of drugs down in that corner. Now there ain't too many drugs.
The congregation says it knows that drugs haven't disappeared, but feels it is making a difference. When church members first started these marches, drug dealers threatened them and a police escort had to be called in. But now the threats have stopped and the police escorts are no longer needed. And what remains is strong community support for this drug-free cause. In East Baltimore, Siani Lee, Channel 2 News.
Reclaiming the community, church members plan to continue their outdoor services even when the weather cools off. The services will...
He also envied cars and those who could drive. It was an envy that cost this 14-year-old his life. Mark Vernarelli, Channel 2 News.
Another 14-year-old in the car with Anthony is in critical condition tonight. That car was stolen from Randallstown, but so far, police don't know who actually stole it. Stan?
Meanwhile, an East Baltimore teenager is charged tonight with the accidental shooting of his 9-year-old brother. Alonzo Lumpkin Jr. was shot in the chest last night. He remains in critical but stable condition at Johns Hopkins Children's Center. Now, according to police, 18-year-old James McNeil told them he found a .32 caliber revolver, took it home, and started fooling around with it. McNeil reportedly pointed the gun at his own head in his East Baltimore home, then pointed the gun at his younger brother, and that's when it discharged. McNeil was charged with assault and released from jail on his own recognizance. Baltimore County Police have released a composite sketch of one of the two suspects wanted for the attempted murder of a Baltimore County police officer. Officer Daryl Chesney was beaten last Tuesday night after he stopped a 1978 Chevy Monte Carlo on Harris Mill Road in Parkton. Officer Chesney was struck in the head with a metal object. His service revolver was taken during the attack. Baltimore County Police say they're looking for this man. He's described as about 40 years of age, 5'6" to 5'7" in height. He weighs about 180 pounds. The other suspect is about 30 years of age. He's 5'11", medium build with long brown hair. Officer Chesney is recovering tonight from his attack. If you have any information at all, please contact the Baltimore County Police Department at 887-1829. Baltimore City Police are investigating yet another murder. This one occurred last night in the downtown area. 26-year-old Jimmy Ellis was found near the corner of Biddle and Brentwood. Ellis had been shot in the face. He was taken to Johns Hopkins, where he later died. Right now, police say they have no suspects and no motives.
More and more, the violence we see on our streets has a child's face on both sides of the trigger. And a new report released by the Bar Association of Baltimore City says our juvenile justice system is failing our troubled youth. With more on this story, here's Channel 2's Randy Page.
May 5th, 1990, Edmondson Village, the night Antoine Dorsey lost his life. He was only 14, shot to death, police believe, by other teenagers. Police say he was carrying a sawed-off shotgun of his own when a bullet claimed his life. Teens and guns are a common sight in this neighborhood.
They running around here trying to beat people up and shoot them just to prove a point that they bad and everything.
In 1991 alone, police say 32 juveniles were arrested for murder, more than 1,000 arrested for violent crimes. But what happens once they go into custody? A report released by the City Bar Association says the juvenile system is woefully inadequate to deal with the growing street violence. The committee chairman is former City State's Attorney and Judge George Russell.
A person with a parking ticket is able to see a judge and be tried and found not guilty or guilty on a parking ticket. But a juvenile who's charged with a serious crime is not afforded the opportunity to see a judge right away.
The Russell report calls for 2 additional juvenile court judges. It calls on the state to pay for the juvenile court system. And it says the juvenile system needs more resources from both private and public sources. But the judge who is in charge of all the Baltimore City circuit courtrooms, both juvenile and adult, says it's not the juvenile court system that needs all the extra resources, but rather the children need those resources long before they ever step into any courtroom.
What you have to do is spend the money on preventing kids from coming into the world just to be abused and misused.
Judge Kaplan says juveniles who commit adult crime should be charged as adults, leaving the juvenile system more room to treat those children who can still be reached. But Charles Russell says we shouldn't write off the juvenile criminal so easily.
We'll never know unless we can try, and we should try. We should try to save every one of them.
Save them before it's too late. Randy Page, Channel 2 News.
Former Judge George Russell says he will meet with state legislators next week to discuss the report's findings.
Other news, some call it pork barrel. It's the capital budget that pays for construction projects. Annapolis Bureau Chief Lou Davis says almost 1/3 of it this year goes for projects right here in Baltimore City.
The capital budget pays for one-time costs, mostly construction projects. This year, the Schaefer administration has asked for $920 million in building funds. It must all be approved by the legislature, which today began going over the capital budget item by item.
I'm not sure I'm favoring every one of these projects. I think there are probably a few dogs in there, but by and large, the capital budget is very, very important to the state, and I think the governor is right in trying to generate building and construction. There's nothing in here for the convention center. Thank goodness there's nothing here for another new stadium. I mean, these are worthwhile, by and large, worthwhile capital projects.
The budget is important to Baltimore City. Among the big projects, construction at the Inner Harbor. Work will begin on the Christopher Columbus Center, a biotech research center, mostly to be built with federal funds, but it will require $17 million of state money. Now that the state has taken over the city jail, it'll begin to pump funds in there to improve it. More than $23 million in expansion and modernization. Morgan State University will get a high-rise dormitory and a dining hall, and improvements to several of the older buildings, $11 million worth. And $52 million will go toward construction of a new health sciences building at the University of Maryland at Baltimore. There are a total of more than $130 million in construction projects for Baltimore City. Governor Schaefer has always said that these construction projects are important because they put people to work. And since he has taken office 6 years ago, Maryland's capital budget has increased by 194%. In Annapolis, Lou Davis, Channel 2 News.